So I tried to go live yesterday and my mic wasn't working. So if you are on this live and the mic is working, let me know if you can hear my sound, but I'm going to just keep going. I'm also recording it in several places today. So I got my phone, I got my GoPro, so I'm good. So today I'm talking about why confidence does not stick. Now, have you noticed that you can hype yourself up all day, right? You can get accolades from other people. You can be feeling confident. You can be prepared, and it may not stick. There's a moment where you may hit post to like a video or a comment, or you walk into a meeting and all of that hype, all of that self confidence, all of that starts to waver, right? I mean, you may be feeling great about yourself. Maybe you got through the presentation, maybe you hit post, but then a few hours later, you start to doubt yourself. You start to think, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have posted this. And it doesn't matter how prepared you were, right? That's because you're supposed to build a foundation of confidence. It doesn't just stay there. It's something that has to be built. It's not a momentary thing, right? It's a foundation. And when you build it right, it lasts a lifetime. And so I talk a lot about the story of Joseph from the Bible and how Joseph went through these different cycles. He had cycles of promotion, cycles of setback. Um, it was crazy. So his story starts with him being sold into slavery by his own family because they were jealous of Joseph. Now, it could be said that Joseph also spoke a lot about, he kind of was braggadocious, right? He was having all these dreams. So he was sharing them with his siblings, and they didn't like to hear his dreams. His dreams ended up being him seeing himself above and seeing his family bow down to him. And for some reason, young Joseph thought it was a great idea to share that. And so it started breeding even more contempt. Joseph was already the favorite of their father. He was already so many things. And so when he started dreaming that stuff too, when that came up and he kept sharing it, it just added more fuel to the jealousy fire. So his brothers sold him into slavery. First, they were going to kill him. They decided, well, this is our brother. We shouldn't kill him. Yay. Let's sell him into slavery. He gets sold into slavery and was bought by a man named Potiphar. Now, Potiphar worked very closely to Pharaoh, but it was under Potiphar's home where Joseph prospered. Potiphar saw that Joseph was blessed by God. And so Potiphar turned over everything in his home to Joseph because he saw anything that Joseph was over did well and it had the favor of God on it. And so Joseph ended up sold into slavery into a really great position, right? So at first he was waiting to be sold. He was afraid, but he got to a great place and he developed his skills. He was the overseer of the home until Potiphar's wife saw that young Joseph had bloomed into a handsome young man, right? And she wanted to sleep with him. And he was like, no, girl, I'm not going to sleep with you, right? And so day after day, day after day, day after day, she pestered, she bugged him, she kept trying to get him to come off of it, right? And I'm just saying, like, Joseph, I mean, she was like, you fine, I want it. And he was like, no, ma'am, because my master, who was Potiphar, he gave me everything except you because you his wife, and that makes sense. So I don't want to do that because I'm taking that like a violation. Joseph had what we call integrity. She didn't like it. So one day she cornered Joseph. This was Potiphar's wife. She corners him right now. He working, you know what I'm saying? She cornered him, right? He runs away because she grabbed him. And when he bagged up and ran away, she grabbed him so hard, she ended up with his clothes in her hand. So essentially he was stripped, but he still ran. Well, when she saw that he ran out and did not have on any clothes, right, and she had his garment in her hand, she decided to say, Joseph attacked me. I fought him off. That's how I ended up with his clothes in my hand. She lied. She lied on young Joseph. She lied because she couldn't get away. She saw this young man who wouldn't budge, and it was making her angrier and angrier because she couldn't get what she wanted. She was low down. She was nasty. It was wrong, right? I don't know if Joseph argued against her. It doesn't say. It just says she lied and was believed. I don't know if he was like, I ain't touch her. I don't know. I could imagine Joseph may have tried to speak up to say this never happened, right? But she was believed, and Joseph was placed in prison. Now I'm gonna have to do a little more research on this, but this was an Egyptian prison. I'm sure it was like definitely slummy, right? And so Joseph goes to prison. So he goes from this nice setup to prison. And that sucks because he was already sold into slavery by the fam. The fam sold him. Let's just sit with that for a while. You talking about messing with your confidence. Your own family, they don't like you so much that they sell you into slavery, right? They don't even know where you're going to end up. That's how much they don't like you. You know that would shake your confidence to your core. Because then you're like, well, what's wrong with me? I'm supposed to be their family. We have a lot of similarities. What's the problem, right? You guys, I don't know how I would have handled it. I don't know. Because I haven't been sold into slavery like Joseph, right? Specifically by the fam. So I can't say how I would react. I just know that is enough to rock anybody's confidence, right? But Joseph was sold. He got to Potiphar's house. It looks like he still developed his gifts and his confidence. So Joseph goes to prison. Now, yesterday I had my notes, but anyway, yesterday I was reading out of the Bible. He goes to prison, and the prison warden, or the person over the prison, saw how much favor Joseph had to the point where he put Joseph in charge of everything. Like he just put him over everything, over everybody. It said something like he didn't worry about nothing because he knew Joseph had it. Your boy had it. He was chill. I'm not sure how long he was in prison. But while he was there, it was two other jailers that had had dreams. Those two jailers had been put into prison by Pharaoh himself because Pharaoh was not pleased with their service. It was the cupbearer. So the person that pour up the wine, pour it up, the cupbearer, okay? And the bread bearer or the bread maker, right? So somebody who making like artisanal treats, croissants, right? Biscuits. You see what I'm saying? Bread. Now, you know we love bread, honey. Okay, so you got your bread maker and you got the person pouring this here cup. They both had a dream on it around the same time. And for some reason, they took it to Joseph, which lets me know maybe he had gotten a reputation of he was in charge of things. But hey, yo, Joseph also can interpret dreams. Now, I'm going to pause right here to say, I'm not sure if I was Joseph, if I would have ever fooled with another dream, honey, not after I told my brothers my dream and it got me messed up. But hey, Joseph apparently was still flowing in his gifts. His confidence apparently had been rebuilt in that area, right? So he just, he didn't flinch. The cupbearer, the person pouring the wine, the bread maker, right, brought the dreams to him. Now Joseph said, it is God to give interpretations, but just give me the dream and I'll pray about it and see what I get. At the end of the day, Joseph's interpretation of those dreams was that the cupbearer would be restored to his position, the bread maker would be hanged and killed. Two total different outcomes, and it happened. Now, Joseph told the cupbearer, hey, don't forget about me. You brought me this dream. When you are up, when you are restored, if you can hear me, please say something in the chat because I'm trying to test this mic. But he was like, if you are restored to your position, don't forget about your boy. I told you would be restored. Please remember me, right? Well, Joseph ended up telling that man that, and the cupbearer forgot about him. He forgot about him for a couple of years. So Joseph kept his position in prison. He stayed serving. I don't know. I would have been a little disheartened, you guys, right? I would have felt some kind of way. Joseph kept going, though. Joseph served. And it so happened that a couple of years later, Pharaoh had a dream that no one could interpret. Now, if Pharaoh had a dream that no one could interpret, I can imagine he was not getting good sleep at night, right? He was probably restless. If he wasn't getting good sleep, guess what was happening? The cupbearer, right, was in the room pouring it up, right? He was the wine bearer. He was the cupbearer. He was the person pouring out the drinks. I'm pretty sure if Pharaoh couldn't sleep, he was like, bring me some wine, bring me some libations, honey. Bring me something that can calm me down so I can get some rest. And the cupbearer might have been tired because I'm sure he wasn't getting no sleep if Pharaoh wasn't getting any sleep. And then the cupbearer remembered that Joseph had interpreted his dream. Finally, he told Pharaoh who Joseph was. Joseph was like, go get him right now, honey. I'm talking about boom, right now. Go get Joseph. Go get him. So they went, they got Joseph, they cleaned him up. Because he was serving time. We know Joseph was probably looking busted, honey. You was not serving time and looking good. You was just looking real raggedy. So they went, they got him, they cleaned him up, and they brought him to Pharaoh. Now, I'm going to pause here to talk about a few of my points on confidence, right? We're talking about Joseph, but we're also talking about ourselves. So one of the reasons confidence may not stick is because you've learned to perform, but not to truly believe in yourself, right? A lot of us were taught how to act confident, how to show up confident, how to dress confident, right? How to smile through it. But deep down, there may be a voice still saying, but who do you think you are to show up and do a live? Who do you think you are to post that? Who do you think you are to apply for that? Who are you, right? Why do you think that's that inside voice that's battling our confidence, right? Now, I've shared this a few times, but when I was in undergrad, I graduated later than my peers, right? I was supposed to graduate and I didn't get to, and it threw my life off track for a while, which also means it shook my confidence. I ended up working, but the comments were snide. We knew you weren't going to finish. Oh, you ain't finished, huh? You had all that big talk. That was the attitude I got. I got that from family, friends, acquaintances, and it rocked my confidence. It shook me, right? Because yes, I had set out on this goal and I didn't accomplish it. I didn't get to finish it. At least not then. And so that showed me a crack in my confidence there, right? But true confidence does not come from performing or from finishing something on your own timeline. It comes from the inner work that you have to do to believe that you're worthy without overcompensating, to believe that you're going to finish it, even if you didn't finish it when you thought you should, right? And so that was one of those lessons that started percolating when I was young. I probably was like 21, 22. Like, of course, my confidence was shaking. I had a plan and it didn't work out, right? The next thing that can cause your confidence to be shaken or not to stick is being rejected and you internalize it. Now, we can all be rejected. We're going to all be told no, right? At some point, it could be something small, it could be something huge, but we're going to all be told no. But we're not supposed to internalize the rejection, right? Past rejection, like me not finishing school on time, you could have been overlooked. Somebody could have ghosted you, honey. That is rejection, right? That's a past rejection. It feels like it could start to feel like proof that you weren't enough, right? Even if it was never really about your value, it's not about you, but you will start to internalize it accidentally. And that's a problem, right? And that's what we're not supposed to do, but we're human. And so those rejections can start to become internalized, start to stick with us. Back to Joseph. Think about the rejections he endured. I'm pretty sure he had to do some inner work, some fighting, some of those internal beliefs that were trying to stick to know that he was worthy, to keep telling himself, just because I was sold into slavery doesn't mean I'm not capable of this. Just because of this thing, I'm going to post a comment. This, if anybody jumps on this live, because I'm like, Lord, can anybody hear me? Because this shook my confidence yesterday. I tried to record this yesterday and it didn't work. I used the mic, I checked it, I thought I was good. Whole time I did a 17-minute video, no sound. Then the sound is recorded somewhere else. Now I had to figure out how to merge the sound. Whew, confidence shook. Anyway, what I'm saying is, even when you're rejected, even if you don't finish something in your own timeline, it's not about your self-worth, right? This is where you learn how to reframe those moments, right? As redirection, as divine timing, but they're not about your value, right? My confidence didn't actually fully return when I finished school either. My confidence returned when I healed on the inside, right? When I reframed the narrative. Another thing that can mess your confidence up is that you could shrink to make other people feel comfortable, right? And sometimes coming from your background, maybe you didn't finish school on time, you didn't do everything right, you start to shrink down. And even when you get excited about a new thing or you want to try something, somebody may make a comment that knows you. Well, you know you didn't finish school on time, so what make you think you finna finish that? Right? And that comment can cause you to shrink. And that's a problem. That's what I'm talking about. You have to reframe, you have to heal, you have to do some inner healing and some work, right? And so, what you're supposed to do is stop shrinking. But how do you do that? You have to reframe what's going on. So, in order for you to stop shrinking, you may have to go after the thing you're afraid of. You may have to do it anyway. You may have to do it whether people who knew you approved or not, right? For me, stepping into content creation, stepping into coaching, it made people who knew me feel uncomfortable. I got a little backlash. I could tell when I started transitioning and shifting, people didn't always like it. They didn't think I qualified. They still probably don't think I qualified, right? But that's not my problem, right? I stopped asking for permission. I stopped looking for affirmation from people on the outside. I started affirming myself internally, and that's what you have to do, right? And so back to Joseph. There had to be some internal work he was doing. There had to be something going on with Joseph where he didn't just tell himself he wasn't worthy, where he wasn't internalizing the rejection of his brothers. He wasn't over internalizing the rejection from Potiphar's wife when he wouldn't sleep with her. And as you can see, it's years in between these incidences. So he probably had some work to do so that he didn't become bitter, right? Because ultimately he ended up as second in command over everything under Pharaoh. So at first he was in Potiphar's house, and Potiphar worked for Pharaoh. Baby, not you went above Potiphar. You ended up above Potiphar's position. That means God really had to heal him. He really had to do some inner work. He couldn't just arrive as second in command after Potiphar's wife did that to him. Those years he was in prison, right? Those years were development years. Those were his healing years, y'all. Had to be. Because imagine if he would have gotten up there too soon, but hadn't worked through the rejection, being lied on, child being locked up, that right there, you got me in prison over your lie. That's a lot. I was in prison because you couldn't have your way. That is a lot to work through. That I'm pretty sure Joseph had to work through some of that, right? And so again, confidence and just tying it back in, your confidence specifically in one way or another will be rocked. It will be shaken. But if you have the foundation on the inside of you to withstand that, you're going to be fine. That is the point, getting the internal confidence and the foundation solidified so that rejection, so that being lied on, so that all of those things don't shake who you ultimately are. And you still are yourself, and you're still doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're still serving the way you're supposed to serve, showing up unapologetically, right? So if you're ready to stop shrinking and start shining, I'm going to drop a link. Take this. I got a free quiz you can take. I have a form to fill out. Join my community, Flourish Forward. Join my coaching community, right? If you are a woman and you need your inner light nurtured, right? This light that you've been shrinking down, that you've been hiding, right? I'm going to drop that in the description. I'm going to pin a comment to this. And I want you to fill out that form. Or if you know you're ready to join the coaching program, just go ahead and jump in. I have the links there. But remember, right? You have to do this in community. You have to be willing to do the work, right? It's about healing, and it's about getting that inner confidence solidified on a foundation that can withstand rejection, that can withstand anything that comes its way. And so I'm definitely excited about rolling out Flourish Forward. It's different tiers to the program. We start June the 30th. I've had an overwhelming amount of people already enrolled, so I'm excited. We start June the 30th is the kickoff, no matter which tier you choose. And so join me. Make sure that you are nurturing your inner light and you're healing from past rejection, healing from past incidences that shook you, so that you can start to like rise and shine and unapologetically be who you are destined to be. I will see you on the next video.